Mixit Manual. Mixit is a compact control panel for Blackmagic Design ATEM switchers that functions with every type of ATEM switcher. Mixit has 31 illuminated broadcast buttons, a fader and 4 rotary controls to effortlessly control your video sources. Buttons can be assigned to serve your needs. Direct control of the built-in media players is standard. Mixit may be connected directly to the ATEM or can live in a network along with PC or Mac-based ATEM software and hardware. You can do your own updates at any time, so it's future-proof. Mixit's layout and button functions. The buttons on the program bus are used to switch sources to the program output of the switcher. The selected source has a red light. The preview buttons are used for selecting the input that you switch to in the next transition by using the cut or auto button or by using the fader. By pressing the keyer buttons, the corresponding upstream keyer is switched on. Pushing the button once more switches the keyer off. The first line of the LCD shows the model of the connected switcher, and the second line shows a status line. On this status line, you find from left to right the selected clip in Media Player 1, in Media Player 2, the selected color, and optional, the selected macro. By default, rotary 1 to 3 are used for selecting Media Player 1 and 2 and color. The downstream keyer buttons are used to bring the downstream keys on air. The downstream keys are faded in and out. The duration of this fade can be set in the Blackmagic ATEM software and can be stored in the mixer. Rotary 4, in combination with the play button, can be used to control the option port, macros, or a hyperdeck player or recorder. Connecting Mixit. Mixit can be connected using a cable direct to the ATEM or via a hub or switch. Powering the Mixit is done by Power over Ethernet or by using the AC adapter. If a connection with the ATEM can't be made, the display will show Not Connected, Check Config. Checking the IP settings is done with Rotary 1. By pressing the rotary shortly, you will enter the menu, and by turning the rotary, you can run through the various options. If you push and hold down any rotary for 2 seconds, you will return to the status display. Beware that if you do so, all changes will be lost. If you enter the default option and confirm by selecting and clicking OK, the default settings for the IP settings are loaded. These settings are 192.168.10.99 for the Mixit and 192.168.10.240 for the ATEM switcher. If you haven't changed the IP addresses of your ATEM switcher or Mixit, the Mixit should connect immediately. After loading the default IP or after changing IP settings, you will have to save and exit. The Mixit will store the new settings and restart. You may have to power cycle the panel. If you select Cancel, changes will not be stored. To update the firmware, you can download the Update utility for Mac or PC from the website mixstripeit.tv. If you accidentally selected to update the firmware, power cycling the Mixit twice should bring you back in business. Check Updating Firmware for a step-by-step guide. Version info shows the version of the ATEM firmware and the version of the Mixit firmware. If your ATEM firmware version is lower than 2.12, we advise you to update the switcher via the USB connector with the ATEM Setup utility. The MAC address is the unique hardware code for your Mixit and is read-only. Your network administrator may need it. Operating Mixit. Rotaries 1 to 3 give access to the main Mixit menus. Rotary 1 controls the IP settings and firmware updates. For more info, please watch Connecting Mixit. By pressing Rotary 2, you enter the Button Map menu. In this menu, you can set the Mixit to match your needs. In the Map Buses menu, you can switch the preview and program rail. With Custom Entry, you can set each bus to either preview, program, or any aux you want to. In the Map Buttons menu, you can choose between Default, Buttons 1 to 8 are then connected to inputs 1 to 8. Buttons 9 and 10 control the media players, and Call is used to select the colors. SDI first, which arranges the inputs in such a way that SDI signals start from button 1 and the HDMI inputs after that. And the Custom option, where you can connect any button to any source in the switcher. Note that the buttons follow the input numbering of the ATEM switcher and are not linked to the layout of your multi-view. The Key 1 to 4 menu enables you to change the 4 key buttons from their default as upstream keyer to control macros you've programmed in the ATEM control software. The Player Controls menu enables you to control the option port, macros, or a hyperdeck. The Shift key Enable option is convenient if you use more than 10 video inputs. It changes the Call button into a Shift button, enabling a total of 20 inputs. Inputs 11 to 20 are selected by at the same time pressing Shift and Key 1 to 10. Dimming the LEDs inside the Mixit is done with the Dim LEDs option. Save and Exit stores the changes you've made. And finally, Rotary 3 allows you to set one of the available AUXes to any source you want. Clicking once lets you set the aux, and clicking again sets the source. Using macros. In the ATEM Switcher software 6.3 or higher, you can record macros. Macros are an automated sequence of switcher actions. To recall a macro, Mixit offers 2 options. 1. Use the Key 1 to 4 buttons. Each of these buttons can be set to either operate the upstream keyer or run a selected macro. Convenient if you need quick access to a few macros. 2. Use the Player Controls. The Rotary and Play button are used to select and control macros. With the Rotary, you can select a macro in a range of 1 to 99 indicated in the LCD. The Play button is used to start and stop the macro. By pressing the Rotary and the Play button at the same time, the macro is played in a loop.